All right, everyone, get ready because today we are going deep on AI critiques.
Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Not just any critiques, though. We're talking about AI that can actually evaluate its own work.
Like, whoa.
It's pretty meta, right?
Super meta.
So the paper we're looking at today is called RealCritic, Towards Effectiveness-Driven Evaluation of Language Model Critiques.
Catchy title.
I know, right? And it's all about this new way to measure, basically, how well AI can give feedback.
Kind of like it's grading its own homework.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I mean, that's a game changer.
Definitely.
What excites me is like we're finally moving past just seeing if an AI gets the right answer,
Right.
It's like now we want to know, can it actually explain why it thinks that's the answer?
Mm.
Can it spot its own mistakes? Can it, learn and grow from those mistakes?
So instead of just looking at the final answer, we're like peeking into the AI's brain, seeing how it got there.
Exactly. It's like, can AI be a reliable critic?
Reliable critic.
Yeah, because here's the thing with the way we've been judging these AI critiques. It's like, imagine giving a student a grade without any explanation.
Oof. Yeah, not helpful.
Right, like it doesn't tell us if they actually get the material or if they just, got lucky.
So they could be getting things right for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. And that's a problem, especially if we're like going to rely on AI for important stuff.
Yeah, like what if AI is doing medical diagnoses or legal analysis and it's just guessing? That's kind of scary.
Yeah, not ideal.
So that's where RealCritic comes in.
Real critic to the rescue.
All right, so tell me more. What is it?
So it's basically a new benchmark.
Okay.
It focuses on whether the AI's critique actually makes the solution better.
So it's not just about the critique itself, it's about whether it leads to actual improvement.
Exactly. It's like instead of just looking at the ingredients, Real Critic is all about judging the final dish.
I love that. So it's like you can have the fanciest ingredients, but if the meal is a flop.
It's a flaw.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter, right?
So how does Real Critic actually work? What makes it so special?
Well, they use something called a closed loop approach.
Closed loop.
Yeah, so basically the AI gives a critique, right?
Okay.
And then it uses that critique to actually revise the original answer.
So it's like the AI is being both the student and the teacher.
Whoa, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like super meta, right?
Super meta, yeah.
And to make things even more interesting,
More interesting. Okay, lay it on me.
they explore these two types of critiques, self-critique and cross-critique.
Okay, break this down for me.
So self-critique, that's when the AI is basically evaluating its own work.
Kind of like when you're double-checking your answers before you turn in a test.
Yes, exactly like that, trying to catch those little mistakes before it's too late.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Totally.
Yeah.
But then there's cross-critique.
Okay, what's that?
That's when one AI is actually evaluating the work of another AI.
Oh, wow. AI judging AI.
Right. It's like peer review, but for artificial intelligence.
So we're testing if AI can be fair and impartial.
Exactly. Can they judge each other objectively?
Fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they use this Real Critic benchmark to test a bunch of different language models.
Okay, the suspense is killing me. What did they find? Like, which AI came out on top?
Okay, so get this. Most of the AIs they tested, pretty bad at self-correction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They really struggled to catch their own mistakes, especially on the tougher tasks.
That's kind of reassuring, though.
So
Like, it means even super smart AI can get stuck in a rut.
true. Just like us humans.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still curious, was there an AI that, like, aced this self-correction thing?
There was. This one model, O1 Mini, absolutely blew the others out of the water.
Oh, one mini. I'm gonna have to remember that name. What made it so good? Like, any theories?
The million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
The research doesn't give a definitive answer.
But,
It could be something about the way it was trained or like its unique architecture,
so maybe O1 Mini is just better at stepping back and looking at its work from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's like it has this really good internal critic.
That's so cool. Were there any other big surprises in the research?
Oh, definitely. They found this thing they call asymmetry in how AIs critique.
Asymmetry. Okay, now I'm really curious.
So basically, they're much better at correcting wrong answers than they are at, like, preserving answers that are already correct.
Wait, really? That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right? It's like they see something that's already good and they're like, oh, I can make this even better, but then they end up messing it up.
Oh, so it's almost like a lack of humility or maybe overconfidence.
Yeah, something like that.
That's wild. But how does this asymmetry play out between, self-critique and cross-critique? Are they affected equally?
Good question. So cross-critique actually has more potential for improvement.
Hmm.
But it also has a bigger chance of ruining a perfectly good answer.
Oh, so it's like a double-edged sword.
It's a delicate balance.
This is all so fascinating. It really sounds like AI is struggling with some of the same challenges we face when giving and receiving feedback as humans.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like knowing when to step in and when to just leave things be.
Right. That can be tricky.
Definitely. And that brings us to another important part of this RealCritic thing. The whole concept of iterative critique.
Iterative critique, so multiple rounds of feedback.
Exactly. Like give a critique, revise, give another critique, revise again.
And they wanted to see how different AIs handled that, huh?
Yeah. And the results were all over the place.
Oh, I bet.
Some AIs actually got worse with each round.
Like they were getting flustered under pressure.
Yeah, like a student panicking during a test.
Been there. So, O1 Mini, I'm guessing it handled this part well.
Oh, of course. O1 Mini kept getting better, especially in those first few rounds.
It's like the star student who thrives on feedback.
Totally. Shows real resilience.
This is blowing my mind. Okay, so we've got AI that can grade itself, catch its own mistakes, even learn from other AI.
The future is here.
It's amazing. But let's step back for a second. Like, why should all this matter to our listeners? What's the big takeaway?
This research is showing us a future where AI can learn and improve, not just from the data we feed it.
But also from itself.
Exactly. Through self-reflection and feedback.
Whoa, imagine AI that can solve problems A and D, make its own solutions better.
And even teach other AI how to do the same.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
Okay. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, maybe we should unpack some of the, practical implications of all this.
Good point.
Like, what can we expect to see in the near future? And what are some of the challenges we might run into?
Those are great questions.
Yeah,
And I think they deserve a deeper look.
you're right. We need to dive into that.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to explore those questions in more detail.
Can't wait.
So before the break, we were talking about how some AI models, particularly O1 Mini, are showing real promise when it comes to self-critique and learning from feedback.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
It really is. I'm curious, do you think this kind of self-improvement, could it actually lead to AI, exceeding human capabilities in certain areas?
That's the question everyone's asking.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And it's a valid concern. The potential's definitely there, especially with models like O1 Mini showing us what's possible.
Right.
But it really depends on how we define surpassing,
That's a good point, because at the end of the day, humans are still the ones designing these systems, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We set the goals, we provide the data, we shape the directions.
So AI might be able to, process information faster or solve complex equations better.
Yeah, tasks that involve crunching massive amounts of data, that's where AI excels.
But what about things like creativity, intuition, emotional intelligence?
Those are still very much human domains, at least for now.
So it's less about a competition and more about, a collaboration.
I think that's a great way to put it. AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to guide its development responsibly.
Absolutely. So going back to the research, what else did the RealCritic team find? Anything else that stood out?
Well, one thing that was interesting was how different models handled specific types of critiques.
Okay.
For example, most of them really struggled with self-critique on those super specialized tasks.
Specialized tasks, you mean stuff that requires a lot of expertise in a specific field?
Exactly. Like, imagine an AI trying to critique a complex legal argument or a piece of advanced scientific research.
Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
Right. And it seems like even these super advanced language models, they have their limits when it comes to that kind of specialized knowledge.
So even AI has its blind spots.
You could say that.
So where do we go from there? If even the most advanced AI struggles with those really specialized tasks, what's the solution?
Well, this suggests we might need to develop AI systems that are more modular,
A modular. Okay, break that down for me.
So instead of having one giant AI trying to do it all,
Right.
we could have a team of specialized AI, each one trained on a specific area.
Oh, so a team of AI experts.
Exactly. Each one bringing their own unique knowledge to the table.
Like an AI dream team.
I like that. And just like with human teams, the more diverse the perspectives, the better the outcomes.
That makes so much sense. So instead of trying to build one super AI, we should be focusing on building systems where different AIs can work together.
Exactly. It's about collaboration, not competition.
This is giving me a whole new way of thinking about the future of AI.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It really is. So it's not just about individual AIs getting smarter, it's about them working together to achieve something even greater.
Like an orchestra, you know?
Yeah, each instrument playing its part in perfect harmony.
What a beautiful analogy.
But okay, let's not get too carried away with the metaphors just yet. We
Yeah.
still have this research to unpack.
You're right, we do.
Were there any other interesting findings from the RealCritic study?
You know, one thing that stood out was how the complexity of the task really affected how good the critique was.
Okay, meaning.
So basically, the AIs did a much better job critiquing solutions to simpler problems.
Like basic math or something.
Yeah, stuff like that. Compared to, say, like critiquing a philosophical argument or a piece of original music.
So the more complex the problem, the harder it is for AI to give good feedback.
Precisely. Which makes sense, right? Even for us humans, it's easier to spot errors in simple things.
It's true. So this highlights the need to keep pushing AI research further.
Absolutely. We need to train AI to handle more and more complex reasoning, more nuanced problems.
It's like we're constantly raising the bar.
And that's a good thing. Challenges drive progress.
I can already see a future where AI is helping us solve some of the world's biggest problems.
Climate change, disease, poverty.
The possibilities seem endless.
They really do.
Yeah.
And research like this RealCritic study, it's paving the way.
It's showing us what's possible.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible conversation.
It has.
We've covered so much, from the technical details of RealCritic to these big philosophical questions about the future of AI.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know, right? This field is moving so fast.
It's mind-blowing.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else from the research you think our listeners should know about?
You know, I think it's really important to emphasize the whole idea of iterative critique.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that a bit, the multiple rounds of feedback.
Right, and it's not just a cool feature of RealCritic, it's actually crucial for developing AI that is truly robust and adaptable.
How so?
Think about it. The ability to receive feedback, reflect on it, make changes, that's essential for any learning process.
Whether it's human or a machine.
Exactly. It's this constant cycle of feedback and improvement that drives real progress.
Like they say, feedback is a gift.
Even when it's hard to hear, it's an opportunity to grow.
And the better AI can handle that feedback, the more intelligent and capable it will become.
Couldn't said it better myself.
This deep dive into AI critique has been eye-opening, to say the least.
It really has.
We've seen how AI is not only becoming more powerful, but also more self-aware, more capable of learning from its mistakes.
Which begs the question, what's next? Where do we go from here?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is.
And a perfect segue into our final segment, where we'll leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question to chew on.
Sounds good to me.
And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into AI critique.
Man, time flies when you're talking AI.
It really does. So we've spent this episode exploring how AI is becoming more and more capable of evaluating its own work, even improving on it.
Yeah, like mind-blowing stuff, right?
Totally. And before we wrap things up, we wanted to leave everyone with something to think about, a question that kind of builds on what we've been talking about.
All right, hit me with it.
So we've touched on how AI might eventually surpass human capabilities, in certain areas at least.
Right, the big question everyone's asking.
Exactly. But what if we kind of flipped that question around?
Flipped it around. Okay, I'm listening.
Instead of wondering when AI will be better than us, what if we ask, how can AI help us become better?
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
Right. Like, what if we see AI as a tool for actually enhancing our own intelligence?
Instead of replacing us, it helps us level up.
Exactly. It's like AI could help us see patterns we might miss, come up with totally new ideas, explore solutions from like a completely different angle.
It'd be like having an AI brainstorming partner, always pushing you to think outside the box.
Totally. And maybe it could even help us overcome our own biases, lead to better decisions.
Now that's a future I can get behind.
It's a pretty exciting vision, right? AI not as a competitor, but as like a collaborator.
A collaborator for sure.
So for our listeners out there, if you're intrigued by this idea of AI helping boost your own brain power, where can you learn more?
There's this whole field called augmented intelligence that's focused on exactly that.
Augmented intelligence. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's worth looking into. Lots of cool research happening there.
Awesome. Well, this has been an absolutely fascinating journey into the world of AI critique.
It has.
We've learned how AI is becoming not only more capable, but also more self-aware, more adaptable.
The future of AI is full of possibilities.
It really is. And as always, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to the deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
If you're eager to learn more about this stuff, we highly recommend checking out the RealCritic paper or looking into that O1 mini model we talked about.
And hey, keep those questions coming. The more we learn and discuss, the better prepared we'll be for this exciting future with AI.
Until next time, everyone, keep diving deep and keep asking those big questions.